Hello everyone and welcome to Advanced M2 Part 3. In this video I'll be discussing how to take what you've learned in Parts 1 and 2 of the tutorial and transfer it to both 4x4 and 5x5 blindfolded. So in Part 1 we discussed how when you have targets here, like LU and RF, you can, instead of doing B moves for the setups, you can actually do a rotation and then finger trick it like this. And this transfers entirely to big blind. All you're doing is the finger trick from an alternate angle, so there's no reason that it wouldn't work. As you can see, completely safe to do. And if we do it on 5 blind midges, as you can see here, same case. And it works perfectly fine. So if you remember, I taught these better setup algs for BU and also LB and RB. Now, these work on the 3x3, but unfortunately on wings and midges, they don't work. So on the 4x4, we have no M slice, so we can't really shoot to BU in the same way, and using the wide move setup for RB is not center safe. So unfortunately, we have to use the longer algs for these as shown. Now, if you have a case here where we have to go to BU and then FL, what you can actually do is do a U2 so that BU is now FU, and you can use the trick that I showed to make this a 9-move case in Part 2. So I'm going to FU first, so I start with an M2, then I do my setup alg, M, undo setup alg, M, and then to put BU back where it originally went, you just have to do a U2. So you now know that when you have a case like this, where you need to go to BD and then BR, you can solve this using only 9 moves. And this actually works on 5 blind and 4 blind for both wings and midges. So the basic reason is just that these are 9-move commutators, and you don't really need to know what that means or why it works, but you should just know that these are center safe, and most commutators are center safe. Now, as you can see, we have the exact same case. We need to go to BD and then BR, and we can do the exact same moves, just exchanging the M slice for the R slice. And on 5x5, we have the midges here, once again, BD, BR. As we can see, all 3 cubes are now solved. So you know how to avoid using this alg to solve parity by using the ULUB swap, but can you do it on 4 and 5 blind? Well, the answer is actually yes, and it's a bit complicated. For the midges, these pieces, they're identical to the edges on 3x3, so you don't actually have to do anything different. As long as you've memoed your corners before you memorize your midges, you can know that you have corner parity, thus you'll have midge parity, and you need to swap them. Now with wings, it's a bit different, because with wings, they are not actually related. The parities are not dependent on each other. So if I have corner parity, that in no way signifies I'm going to have wing parity. However, wing parity doesn't actually matter when doing the ULUB swap for wings. All you have to do is treat UB as UL and BU as LU, and vice versa, obviously, and you should be able to do the wing ULUB swap. Just know that you're dealing with 4 pieces here instead of only 2. So if you're not very good at this, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, as it doesn't save a whole lot of time relative to just doing the PLL parity algorithm. However, people like Neil Gore, the current four-blind North American record holder and the second person to ever get a sub-2 success, does use this method. I believed he actually used it in the sub-2 North American record single, and you can be quite fast with it. I do believe it's the optimal method. So using these 5-move commutators to solve two pieces is really great. Unfortunately, you can't do it for wings. As we can see, there's no M-slice for wings, so to do the alg, it really just messes stuff up. However, there is a bit of a longer algorithm that you can do for these specific 5-movers, and it's still pretty fast, and that algorithm goes as follows. Now, because that's such a long algorithm, I wouldn't recommend doing one-move setups to it, like you could for a case like this, where you need to set up one move to a 5-mover, because the algorithm is just too long, and it wouldn't actually save you much time versus just doing the 2M2 targets. Now, when you're solving midges, you can actually use these 5-movers with a bit of exception. So as you can see here, 5-mover on the 3x3, and 5-mover with the midges, and it looks like nothing is affected, but in reality, there's a bit more going on. If you look at this 5x5, you can see I've set up the exact same case with the 5-mover, however, I've put this JR Cuber logo specifically on the left side. So on the other 5x5, it looked like none of the centers moved. However, when I do this 5-mover, we see that the JR Cuber logo is now upside down on the right side instead of being right side up on the left side. So what we've concluded from this is that these two pieces actually swapped places. And that's because when you do this alg, these two pieces end up on the back face, you do a U2, and then you bring them back here, and you only end up moving them with the U face twice. Now, this is okay. We can still use it for 5-blind. We just have to ensure that we've solved our plus centers before we go to solve our midges if you want to use these 5-movers in your execution. Now, I solve my centers first on 5-blind, so for me this isn't an issue and I can use the 5-movers, and it's for that reason that I suggest you do solve your centers first on 5-blind execution, or at least solve your midges after you solve your plus centers. Luckily, all of the easy 3 style groups that I showed transfer to big blind, and they're all center safe regardless. They're not just solved center safe. So here, I have to go to RB, RU, and I can do that with this 8-mover like so. As you can see, it solves those two targets. And on my wings here, I have the same case. I need to go to RB, RU, and I can use the exact same 8 moves, just substituting the R slice for the M slice. Now I have to go to DL, FL, and I can do that using this 9-mover. As we can see, it solves those two targets, and if we go to midges here, we can use the exact same moves. If you have two pieces that need to be solved and they're both on the M slice and you memorized all of the algs, in a case like this where you need to go to BD and then UF, you can use a cool alg with S moves. Unfortunately, those either don't work or aren't practical on the 4 and 5 blind, so you'll have to use some alternate algs. Here we have the same case, BD, UF, however, I use an alternate algorithm to solve it. I'll leave a list to all of those algorithms in the description. I don't think it's necessary for me to do finger trick demonstrations because most of them are very straightforward. I'd like to finish off this series by thanking everyone for watching. I got a lot of positive feedback on the first two parts, way more than I was expecting, and that honestly means a lot to me. I'm no expert in video making or editing, so these took a lot of time to make. I'm glad that all of the effort was worth it, and I'm glad that you guys benefited from it. I also want to personally thank Angelo Zhang and Timothy Go. These two looked over and revised my scripts multiple times. They gave me feedback and tips on my editing when things were not put together properly, and they watched many versions of these videos before you guys got to see them, and they put a lot of time into this as well. So the series definitely wouldn't be as high quality and comprehensive without these two, Angelo and Tim, so I wanted to make sure that their work did not go unrecognized. I've also gotten a lot of requests to make a 3-style tutorial, and it definitely appeals to me, but it's going to take a long time. There's not any good 3-style tutorials that I've seen, so I definitely think it's necessary, but it's a complicated topic, and I don't want to rush out something on it, and I also don't want to commit to something and not be able to finish it. So I'll definitely consider it. If not, I'll definitely be putting out some other videos on advanced 3-blind, even if it's not a comprehensive 3-style tutorial. So other than that, thank you for watching. I appreciate it so much, and hopefully you watch some of my future tutorials.